What's happening, people? Scarfy Spurs here, back with another one of these weekly live shows every Monday, 8 p.m. Today, I'm joined by, four, but three with us now. Fabulous guests, starting with Bournemouth fan John. John, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Obviously, could be doing better after the result on the weekend, but generally, I'm still doing all right, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's absolute pleasure. Sorry to drag you on after that defeat. Ricky, first time on the show, I believe. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good stuff. It's good to have you on.
Had a very nice weekend. I've been away. I've been in Devon for 10 days visiting my parents, and back to the sunny Netherlands yesterday. But buzzing off that result of the weekend. So thanks for having me on.
No, absolute pleasure. Great to get into it. And welcome back to Rachael. It's great to have you back. How you doing? How have you been?
Thank you for having me back, Harry. I'm fine. Obviously, I had the heart attack. So I did open heart surgery. So I've been very tired. But I'm getting there. I'm glad to be back because I've missed it. But I'm glad to have had that little break. And I'm ready to go now.
Yeah, it's great to have you back, Rachael. That's good stuff. Good to hear. So big up to everyone who's listening live on YouTube in the chat. Big up Barney, first one in, first comment. So big up. So before we crack into it, a reminder, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button because it's free to do so. That helps the channel and show grow. If you like the stream, leave a like and get involved in the comments if you are listening live on YouTube, because we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Put your questions forward and we'll get through them. We'll answer your questions you put forward for the podcast on Twitter earlier. We get for it nearer the end of the show. If you are listening on any other podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and 5-star review. That'd be massively appreciated. So let's crack into it. And let's start with you, Ricky. So focusing before the game, when obviously the team was announced, what do you make of our lineup? Are there any surprises in there for you?
I was a little bit surprised that he played Porro rather than Emerson. I thought that he might perhaps, because we're away from home, play a more reliable defensive right back. But I think pretty much everybody else, maybe Skip could have featured in the starting lineup. But I was very happy with the way Sarr in the first half, especially, and then Basuma towards the end of the first half and into the second half performed. But yeah, I think the rest of the team pretty much picked itself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Completely agree with that. John, what were your thoughts on the Bournemouth lineup? If I'm not mistaken, you made 2 changes from your last game. Kelly in defence was one of them. So what do you make of the team? Was there any surprises in there for you?
Kelly was a little bit of a surprise coming in at left centre-back. The reason for that was explained after the game is that given Spurs' ability on the break and the pace you have up front, it was deemed that Kelly's more athletic ability, his better pace than Marco Senesi would have been more valuable in defence. And I think you could say that certainly worked to an extent, but I do think we missed Senesi's ball playing at the back. And the other one was Justin Cliver coming in at left wing, which we've got a lot of players available on the wings, and it wasn't too much of a surprise to see him coming for Anthony, who's not really started the season all that great. As for everything else, to take the same, and yeah, to be honest, I don't expect to see too many changes once the lineup gets settled. And I think we're only, apart from the wingers, and obviously when our DM comes in, Tyler Adams, who we recently brought in, who's still injured, I think we'll have a relatively settled 8 or 9. So not really much of a surprise apart from Kelly. Was a little bit interesting.
Okay, thank you, John. That's good to hear. Rachael, what do you make of our team selection? Any surprises in there for you?
The only person I thought was Maddison. Because of him being out, I didn't think that he would play. I thought it would be risky. So that was the only bit of a surprise for me, to be honest. So, yeah, all right.
Okay, fair enough. And welcome onto the show. As I said last time, better late than never. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
No, I'm very good, thank you. It's great to have you on. Second time, if I'm not mistaken, on the show. Yeah. So what do you make of the team selection for the game? Any surprises?
No, to be honest, I don't think there was any surprises really there. I was a bit like, is Maddison going to start? And then I was very, very happy to see that he was starting. But I was very happy with the lineup.
Okay, good stuff. Big up the Spurs voice in the chat, Tottenham Boy and Barney Ambrose. Thank you all for listening live, who are listening live on YouTube. So I'm going to ask you this question first, John. Obviously, being a Bournemouth fan, do you think you were unlucky, it's fair to say, not to be level going into the break at half time?
Not really. I think, to be honest, it wasn't a game that I expected anything from, realistically. And I am cursed with being realistic as a football fan. But there was one good chance right at the end. It was the half. It was that Philip Billing sort of curler from just inside the box that just barely missed the post. But we didn't really create anything other than that the entire half. So I think Spurs quite rightly went 1-0 up in the first half, and really probably should have been 2. It was that Malang Sarr opportunity on his left foot when he got in the box, which was the other really good opportunity for Spurs in the first half. And the only other one, I think, was the breakaway that you somehow managed to not score when Richarlison was basically one-on-one. It bounced around a bit and then ended up getting cleared. However, I do think that would have been ruled out because there's no doubt Romero sliced Semenyo down and was fortunate not to get a yellow before that one really got going. But no, I think 1-0 at halftime was totally fair.
Okay, fair enough. I love the honesty. Thank you, John. Ricky, do you think that what do you make of the first half firstly? And do you think that Bournemouth was slightly unlucky perhaps because they had the chances, especially towards the end of that first half, not to go into the break level?
Yeah, I have to say, being a Spurs fan, you always a little bit worried when we start messing about at the back. But yeah, I think it probably they had a couple of chances, and I wouldn't have been disappointed if it was 1-0 at half time. 1-1 at half time. However, as John said, that Sarr chance, he really should have put that one away. And also, I'm not really sure what Richarlison was doing. I suppose, it was. The guy can't get no luck at the moment. He is. You can't fault him for effort, but it's either a confidence thing. I'm still a little bit doubtful about keeping him as our main centre forward because he's, as a centre forward, you kind of want someone who's going to score 15 to 20 a season. I'm not sure he's ever done that. But then again, he has mainly played off the left at Watford and at Everton. We've never really seen him apart from for the Brazilian national team and maybe the team he played for before Watford as a centre forward. We'll have to see what happens further on in the season. But yeah, I think 1-1 probably it could well have been.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well said, Ricky. You made some really good points there. Pav, what do you make of the first half performance?
I think we were great in the first half, to be honest. And, with the Maddison goal as well, it was wicked. And I think, like Ricky said as well, with Richarlison, it's a bit of a hit and miss at the moment. I'll go into more detail later about what I think. But I just think that he is not the replacement that we need at the moment. And you can see that he's trying. It's hard. It is a hard one. But first half, we showed up really, really well. And Bournemouth did have a couple of chances, but I think that we were really, really good playing. So, hats off to them. Okay, fair enough.
Hi, Alfie. So that's
Hello,
perfect timing. Hi, you're right. So perfect question. Rachel, what do you make of the first half performance?
I thought we played really well. We did really well. I felt unlucky for Richarlison. I think Tottenham fans better get used to it, to be honest, because we ain't going to sign. Richarlison was brought in for Harry Kane, and a lot of people won't agree, and some people will. So, but yeah, I do think Richarlison he needs to score because he needs that confidence.
Oh,
No, wait. Sorry.
right.
Yeah, so I think we done really well the first half.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we did do very well in the first half. So moving on to Maddison's performance, because obviously there's a lot of doubt about him starting the game. Lots of people, including myself, left him out the FPL team. So Pav, coming to you first. So obviously we spoke about whether you thought Maddison was going to play or not. There's no surprises in there. If there was going to be one, it was Maddison. What do you make of his performance?
Oh, he was amazing. He was wicked. That goal as well was fantastic. And you could see how happy he was getting that goal as well. I just think that he is so great for our team. And I can't believe we got him for 40 million. And it's just crazy. And I can see him getting a good couple of goals in and, you know, being the vice captain as well. And you can see the way that he's partnering up with Son, and he's got a good relationship with Romero as well. I think he'll be so vital for our team. And it's so unlucky that we didn't get him earlier, but I'm so thankful that he's come to us and like not to any other team. And I think we're just extremely lucky to have him. I think he'll be great for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have him in your fantasy team this week?
Yeah, I did, you know, because I heard about him being a bit injured, and then I saw him obviously for the previous game walking off with that foot thing, but
yeah,
I had a bit like I reckon he'll be on there, so I just put him in there just in case. I was great, so yeah.
What a decision. I definitely got that one wrong. Ricky, what do you make of Maddison's performance, and do you play FPL?
I don't know.
You don't?
No, I haven't done that for years, probably since the late 90s. But so I'm showing my age there. But I thought he played really, really well. He's so lively, he's so nippy. He's the replacement for Eriksen we've been crying out for I don't know how many years. And I have to say, like I think most opposition fans, he wasn't my favourite player when he was playing for Leicester. There was also those tweets he did when he was 17, 18, slagging off Gareth Bale. But since he's come, and I've seen interviews with him, also him wandering around the Spurs shop with his little kid, he looks genuinely chuffed to be here. And I also love that little bit of, how can you say, interaction that he had with the Bournemouth fans when they were singing about Mr. Southgate, saying that he's not very good. And then he placed the ball outside the semicircle for the corner and then smiled at the fans. So, yeah, I think he's got a great character. I'm hoping that he'll be with us for a long time. And it's also going to be nice to have someone other than Mr. Kane taking free kicks. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I was very chuffed with his performance.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. John, so what do you make of Maddison's performance? How much do you think of danger he was? And also, what do you make of that moment? I'm glad Ricky brought that up between him and the Bournemouth fans.
Yeah, I love that. It's just typical opposition fans just absolutely ripping into the player that was almost undoubtedly the best player on the pitch, telling him how rubbish he was, which is just it's just the match going experience, I suppose. But I did love that, and obviously he put it up on his own TikTok account, which I think is just shows the measure of the man to enjoy that moment with an opposition, with people that are ripping into him at the time.
Yeah.
I think that Maddison in your team now in that number 10 role is able to have the freedom that he didn't have at Leicester, and he's able to pick himself up into the kind of pockets that he did for the first goal. But he can be the person on the end of that pass, but he can also create those opportunities. I'm sure he played at least one ball through to create a good chance for someone else during the match. Oh, that was leading into the pre-assist for Son, pulled it back to for Sarr to miss his chance in the first half. And he'll do that every game that he plays. The pockets of space he picks up, you just need to see how he ghosted into the... Admittedly, it was terrible marking from our defensive midfielder, and obviously wasn't followed by the centre-back. But he just ghosts in for that goal, and he doesn't get much on it, but he forces it quicker past the keeper than he can really react to it. I do think Neto maybe could have done better, or another goalkeeper might have been able to save that. But it was a very good finish, and you can already see it in only a few games just how good he is and how much he's going to help your team.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree with you, John. Thank you. Rachel, what do you make of Maddison's performance?
Super. I've wanted him for a very long time. Like, as someone said, when Ericsson left, I wanted him. I thought he's gonna fit into our team really well. I think he's just really good. I feel like gutting that Kane's gone, but hopefully we can build with Maddison and score a few goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, we sure do. Next, I'm going to go around one by one and ask each of you who your man of the match was, if you don't mind. So start with you, John. Who was your man of the match?
My man of the match.
Put you on the spot.
I think. Sorry?
Put you on the spot there.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it. I think I probably would have to give it to Maddison. I certainly wouldn't give it to a Bournemouth player. In terms of other Spurs players that impressed me, I think the keeper had a very impressive game. I think Vicario is a goalkeeper that came in under very little fanfare, but anyone that, having listened to a few people that follow the Italian league saying how good he had been for oh god, the name escapes me, the team he came from now, but from where he came from in Empoli, that was the one in Italy. I think Ibasuma impressed me as well, which I kind of expected. And Udogie had a really good first half. I thought he absolutely ruined Semenyo for the first half. But then in the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes in the second half, I think Semenyo had him on toast. And then obviously it evened out. So it sort of flipped on that. Otherwise, I would have said Udogie if he'd kept it going for the whole match. But yeah, I think I'd have to settle on Maddison, with Son also being quietly impressive as well.
Okay, thank you. No, you make some really good points there. Definitely on Vicario, he was a bit of a scapegoat amongst the fans when he came in pre-season. I completely agree with you with his performances right now. Pav, who's your man of match in the game?
I'd say Maddison, 100%, without a doubt. He was wicked throughout the whole game. I think what he done in that game, you can just clearly tell that he's going to be vital for our team. And yeah, I was torn between him and Bissouma, but I'd say Maddison, because especially with that goal as well, and his corner takings and just what he done overall in that game, I think he was wicked. So yeah, definitely Maddison.
Okay, thank you very much. Ricky, who's your man of the match? You got anyone different, or are you going with Maddison?
No, I'd actually say Udogie, because I thought the first half Bournemouth really targeted him, and he got clattered a couple of times in the first 20 minutes. And I know he likes to give it out, but it seems he can also take it. He seems he's a cool head. And also for the Kulusevski goal, he just never gave it up, did he? A few players would have maybe thought, oh, that's going out, I'm not going to be able to reach it. But yeah, so that really impressed me, especially the cool head that he kept after he was. I think would you agree with that, John, that your guys targeted him in the first half?
To an extent, yeah. I would say so. But I would say that we tried to target both wings, because Porro isn't exactly the strongest defensively either.
No, but
Udogie very much held his own. I thought in the first half he was very good. And obviously, great assist.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, John, for that. Rachel, who's your man of the match and who stood out for you?
Maddison and Bissouma. I think Bissouma will be our new Dembele in time. That's my opinion. That's what I think. But it has to be Maddison, without a doubt.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to what has been a big topic, since probably pre-season, and ever since Harry Kane's left, and that is Richarlison. So, Pav, I'm going to come to you first. I know you have a few opinions on it. Some I know, some I don't know. So the big question that we want to know, that hasn't been answered yet, is Richarlison the man for you, or do you think we need to go out there and buy another striker? What do you make of Richarlison's performance against Bournemouth?
No, I don't think, to be honest, I personally do not think that he is going to be the man as a replacement for Harry Kane. Don't get me wrong, I think we can give him a bit more time as well, but personally I think we can't give him too much time to the point where we're just like sitting and waiting around. I think he does need to score a goal to build up his confidence, but don't forget there is so much pressure on him as well, and you can see his frustration. He's frustrated every single game that he's not getting a goal in. He is trying his best, but I think he's not the man that we need as a replacement. But then again, I still don't think that we're going to get a replacement. We've got till Friday and we've not got anyone yet at all. So I think maybe just give him a bit more time, see how it goes. But I don't think he will be the man as a replacement personally.
Do you think it's a confidence issue though, Pav?
I think it could be, yeah. I think it is. And don't forget, last season he didn't have enough game time as well, and because Kane was playing most of the time, he didn't have enough opportunity. But I think if he gets one goal in, I think it will keep coming. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
just that confidence booster. I think he desperately does need that. Rachel, coming to you next. What do you make of Richarlison's performance against Bournemouth, and do we need to go out there and sign a top striker for you?
We do need to go out because Richarlison's not going to. He can't. He will not bang the goals in like Harry Kane did. But sadly, it's something us Tottenham fans have got to get used to, because he was brought in to replace Harry Kane. You know my takes on this, Harry.
I sure do. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he does need a goal. He needs a confidence. He hasn't got he's got so much pressure on him now. So the minute he's mucking up, Tottenham fans are going to be on him. And I feel sorry for him because it's not his fault.
Yes.
He's been put in the fire line to put other off Hire's head. But we won't talk about that.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Rachel. I definitely know your opinions on that. John, I want to come to you as a rival fan, who you will know Richarlison, very well. What do you make? Obviously, watch his performance against Bournemouth, and can you see him being able to score 10, 15 goals for Tottenham this season, or do you think Tottenham need to go out there and sign a striker?
Well, he was the worst performer of the Spurs 11 or 15, however many it was, on the pitch. I mean, you only just need to look at any kind of social score, plot mob, whatever. It's just he clearly shines out as the one that just didn't quite perform. And you only need to look at, there was one instance where I think he receives the ball just inside the Bournemouth half. He kind of mistouches it. He stands on the ball, falls over. It falls to a Bournemouth player, and then he kind of does a sideways stamp towards the player because he's so hacked off with himself that he's messed it up and got a yellow card, which if he got that one wrong could have even been a red because it wasn't a very smart decision at all.
Yeah,
he fits really well in what Ange wants his attackers to do, to stretch play, to get beyond the defense. The issue being is that he just doesn't have a record with Spurs right now of actually putting the ball in the back of the net. He needs a consistent period of game time in that striking position to gain the confidence, because he's clearly done it at times for Brazil. He did it for Everton when they desperately needed him to do it, but he was playing every game, not really resting and making sure that he was constantly ready to take advantage of those chances. Spurs, in January, you need to go out and sign a bit. If he's not got 7, 8 goals by January, you need to go out and sign a proper goal scorer to replace him, because Richarlison needs to be given the chance, but the most he's going to get is half a season, because if he doesn't do it within that half a season, I have no doubt that Spurs aren't going to wait around for him to suddenly turn it into a better opportunity, because losing Kane loses a lot of goals, but Kane wouldn't necessarily have fit all that well into Ange's system massively, so I do think that it kind of evens out a bit. But having said that, you need the striker to score goals. And right now, I don't have that much faith that Richarlison is going to do that. But, in a month's time, he might have, banged in a hat-trick somewhere and everyone's changing their tune. So you just never know.
Exactly. Thank you. You just never know. Ricky, what do you make of the Richarlison situation?
from what I'm hearing is that Postecoglou wants to have goals all over the pitch. So I think we're stuck with him for a while. I hope they buy another right winger, because Kulusevski has not been right for about a season and a bit now. He just, that first period when he arrived, he was untouchable. I'm not sure that maybe the opposition have found him out, or again, it's just confidence. Maybe he's carrying an injury. But I think I'll be happy if we're still getting goals elsewhere, and he's still, being the beep house that he is. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear on this show. So,
yeah, well done.
and he's bothering their defence and running them ragged. It'd be nice if he does start knocking them in, but as long as we're getting goals from elsewhere, I'll be happy with that. To be honest, the front line currently, apart from Maddison, is worrying me a little bit, because I don't think Son's playing well. I don't think Kulusevski's playing well, and obviously Richarlison. It's pretty typical, isn't it? We have all these defensive managers, and we can't defend, and now we've got an attacking manager. We can't attack.
How's it go?
So, exactly.
It's typical, isn't it? You can write it, could you?
But we're all singing. We've got our Tottenham back.
Yeah.
After 3 games.
Yeah.
I find that very. I'm loving watching us, seeing it, but I find it very cringy. It's only 3 games in, and we've got Tottenham back.
It's a bit premature, isn't it?
I don't know. Arsenal were saying that after 1 game, weren't they?
Yeah.
But I would say, Rach, though, I think that if any fans really sort of have the right to sort of scream about having their club back, I think the rubbish that you guys have suffered through with what's his name, the Wolves boss that slips my mind at the moment.
Nuno,
that was it. Nuno onto 2 managers that are meant to come in and bring instant success, neither of whom wanted to be at Tottenham. You finally got someone that actually, in Ange, has worked his entire career to get to the Premier League, and now has found himself his dream job. And I can't wait to hear more of his speeches in front of the media as well, because he cuts through the rubbish. What's some of the ones he's been asked recently, like what's your shopping list like, and he's like, it's not how it works, mate. And then what's the other one is that someone asked him about podcasts.
Weekly review.
What are you doing?
And Gary Neville.
Gary Neville, I'm just copying Pep, mate. But I really like the appointment when it happened, and I think that Spurs have impressed me more than I expected. And I still think there will be times where you'll struggle, but Spurs are so much better than they have been over the last 3 or 4 years.
I 100% agree with that. What I've watched, it's been nice. Normally, I've been shouting, swearing at my telly, and putting old names under the sun. But the last 3 games, I've been quite chilled. I've got to be after the heart attack that I've had.
Yeah.
But I'll blame him. I don't like Daniel Levy, so I blame him for that.
I can agree with that.
Well, there you go. Fair enough. John, I know you have to go shortly, so I want to know your prediction for your next game, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a Carabao Cup second round on Tuesday against Swansea. So what's your prediction for that?
Difficult to know, because I don't know how much we're going to change up the team for that one, which happens tomorrow. Hopefully we'll play a pretty strong side, because look, at the moment, you look at Bournemouth and you say 1 point from 3 games, and we've spent quite a bit of money. As if you watch Match of the Day, the one terrible bit of punditry that we got was, look how much money Bournemouth are spending. And there's things around that with terms of loans and injuries, but the fact of the matter is we played 3 of the top 4 and got a point out of it. So it's not the worst thing in the world. But what we do need is a win. It doesn't matter how it comes. It doesn't matter where it comes from. We need a win just to gain that confidence, because when your manager comes in and after 3 games, he hasn't got that win, you just wonder what it's doing to the back of the player's mind. So what I'm hoping is we just go to Swansea, get that victory, gain some confidence, and then we go away to Brentford on the weekend. So I'm going to say 2-1 victory against Swansea.
Okay, fair enough. And we'll quickly go through the questions that people put forward on the podcast on Twitter this morning, because you've got a couple just for you, John. It's got one here from Joey, big shout out if he's listening, saying, to the Bournemouth fan, do you think your club will finish inside the top 13 this season? If not, where?
I think I predicted us to finish 13th. I think the only thing at the moment is that because we've got a brand new manager and we've made quite a few signings, it's a very different style to going from Gary O'Neill to Iraola. And it's just a case of how long is it going to take to click? And I can see the embers of things working. I can definitely see things haven't taken off quite to the extent that Ange has made things work at Spurs, but things are starting to work for Bournemouth in fits and starts. We're getting 15 minutes of really good pressing. We're not getting 60 minutes of it yet. So I think that once it clicks, we'll take off. And I do expect us to start quite low. By the time we hit October, we might even be in the relegation zone. But I expect us to start flying up the table and finish anywhere between 10th to 13th, I reckon, is probably a good guess for us this season.
Okay. Thank you, John. So there you go for you put forward that question, Joey. So if you heard that, there you go, got your answer from John. But moving on, so coming to you, Ricky, do you think Son can play through the middle? Because obviously we discussed the Richarlison situation. Do you think he can do that?
Well, we have seen him do it before, and I seem to remember he was pretty successful. He's not doing it at left wing at the moment. I'd love to see Solomon given a few games. I was recently on holiday in Israel, and everybody was raving about him, saying what a special player he is. He's their best player since IL Berkovic, which I think is quite a big compliment. I've liked what I've seen of him so far in his cameos. So I don't see why not put him on the left, put Sonny in the middle. Maybe a game like tomorrow would be a good start. But then again, dropping Richarlison, what's that going to do to his confidence? So
yeah, nice. You make a very good point, Ricky. John has to go. John, thank you very much for coming on. Obviously, couldn't quite do that last year, so it's great to do it. So for people who don't know, who are interested, it's always good to get another fan's thoughts. Where can people find you?
My personal handle's right there. But in terms of, I'm on the Cherries Red Army YouTube channel where we're on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. We do one main video a week with the other dotted in now and again of the occasional fan cam, and I do the odd personal one on our tactics. But for the most part, just your second opinion on Bournemouth every week. And if anyone wants to come and watch us talk about that, we'll be putting up a video on that off the Spurs game at some point tomorrow, I think.
There you go. Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Go check out John, follow him, and subscribe to his channel. And good luck for the rest of the season, John.
Nice to meet you.
You too, guys. Best of luck.
All the best. So, Rachel, coming back to you for the next question about Son, do you think he can play through the middle?
Son?
Yeah,
I think could. He's another one. He needs confidence. The idea, but after the other game, he should have scored and he didn't. He needs that. He's just lost Kane, who is him, and he grew that partnership. So he's now going to have a little bit on his head. I've got to step up. I've got no Kane. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I think he needs, once he starts a fly, I hope. He needs.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
It's also quite interesting that Perisic in pre-season playing as a left wing has looked really good, and came on Saturday, and I thought he looked pretty quick and pretty special. So we've got so many options at left wing, but who are we going to? If Kulusevski gets injured or something, who's going to play there? And I saw that Lo Celso played there a couple of times for Villarreal last season, but he was all over the place at Villarreal. He was playing left midfield. He was playing up front. So I think he's better through the middle. although he didn't play particularly well on his cameo on Saturday. But right wing is something I'm a little bit worried about. I think.
Do you think Porro can play there, Ricky?
That is a possibility. Then again, we got Spence as well. They played in there against Forest last year.
I think Spence is going out.
Yeah, it looks he's going to Leeds, isn't he?
It looks that way. Yeah, Leeds on loan. By the look of it.
It shows you how bad our marketing's been. Like we was gunning. We wanted Spencer, and all our players are going.
Yeah, well, it's as Conte said. It was a club signing. He didn't want him.
Yeah.
And
Shock horror.
Yeah. No, it's Mr. Levy, isn't it? Thinking, oh yeah, the guy's young. I can make a fortune out of this bloke.
Make a bit of money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, Jed Spence is one of the players who's linked with the move. Transfer window shuts Friday, so we'll get on to that towards the end of the show.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's not long to go till it shuts. Rachel, coming back to you, I want to know this question because we haven't spoken about it actually. Are you impressed with what Angie's doing at the moment and like how quickly he's turned over the fans? Are you just impressed?
Oh yes, yeah? I am 100% behind him. Absolutely. I will be Levy out. I am Levy out. You know this. Everyone on Twitter knows I am Levy out. I will back and I will back our players. It is support the team. And I love how he's got us all started to come together again.
Yeah.
Like the fans are all there. There's still a lot of dive in between us because of the Harry Kane. But hopefully we can. Whoop.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricky, what do you make with Postecoglou's job so far? Like, what impressed you most about he's done? Is it how quickly he's got the fans on side, how he handles the media? I'm really interested to know.
I think that how quickly he's got the team singing to the same song sheet. It's, I mean, to have two defensive managers for, what was it, 3 seasons, 3.5 seasons?
Yeah.
And we never got used to that. Then again, we didn't really have the players, but you could say that perhaps there were some players that you thought might not fit into the way that Postecoglou's playing. His Australian honesty, it's very similar. I live in the Netherlands and the Dutch people are very direct. They say what they feel, and this is exactly what he does. There's no messing about. From what I've heard, if you don't want to, if you don't want to play the way that he wants the team to play, you're out.
Yeah.
You're frozen out until you can get a move. I think that's great because you can't have. It's probably why someone like Spence is leaving, because he is a player who needs an arm around him.
Yeah.
So I think he's got an attitude problem.
Yes, yeah. But Cooper got the best out of him when he was playing at Forest, and Cooper is that type of manager that,
arm around the shoulder.
Arm around the shoulder, whereas Postecoglou's not. He's like, you have to do your job, which I prefer that way of managing. Although Pochettino, with what we saw what he did with Dele Alli and things like that. But it's a breath of fresh air to have, as John said, someone who actually wants to manage Tottenham, not the other two.
Don't feel like he's doing us a favour.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Like with Conte and Mourinho.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, as they pretty much said in their interviews, they're doing us a favour.
Yeah.
No, go away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Spot on, guys. Couldn't agree more.
No more Chelsea managers, please.
No. We've had too many. Ricky, coming back to you, I want to know, it's been circulating around Twitter the last, 24, 48 hours. Have you seen the Robbie Williams song singing I Love Big Ange instead? So firstly, before I ask you that, massive credit to James Black, the voice of Spurs on Twitter, for the lyrics, for the song, for the music. It was excellent. I think he deserves credit as well. So what do you make of that? Surely you've seen it. It's going around a lot.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have. I was very surprised. I was really surprised. I was like, why is he singing about that? And then it twigged. Obviously, Alfie Devine's gone to Port Vale, and he's a lifelong Port Vale fan, isn't he? But I have to say, I thought that was hilarious, and I showed it to my brother and my parents and my wife, and they were all like, "What's going on there? He doesn't support Tottenham, does he?" But I thought it was a good laugh, and we'll probably gain a few more fans through that as well. So,
well, it's both ways, isn't it?
Exactly.
No, I definitely absolutely loved it. Rachel, what do you make of it? Assuming you've seen it.
Yeah, I did. I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, what is he doing? I was like, can't wait. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. But like I said, once again, massive credit to James Black coming up with this song and just the work he's doing around it, trying to improve the atmosphere. Along with other people, THFC Flags, the song sheet, Return of the Shelf, who are all working hard to unite fans and improve the atmosphere. So it's great to see them getting that recognition. So Rachel, coming back to you. I know that this is something you'll want to discuss. The transfer window does shut Friday. What do you want to see happen before then, realistically?
We need another striker. We need another centre back. And we ain't getting any. You know my feelings on that.
I do.
It's a sore subject with me, Harry.
I know it is.
I know what's coming.
And Rachel, is there any players you want to see go out the door? If so, how many?
Eric Dyer, Sanchez. What was the other one?
Sessegnon.
Yep, Sessegnon, Dumbelly, the other Tangana. They could all go. All of them. They're all stealing and living at Tottenham. They all don't want to go.
Question, Rachel, would you rip up their contracts if they're not leaving?
Well, that's what we was meant to be doing. That is what was said beginning of the summer, that we was ripping up contracts. Well, no contracts has been ripped up. They're still there. What's happened to Hugo? He's still at Tottenham.
You got to feel sorry for him, really, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, he's given 10 years, and he's been brilliant for at least 8. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll forgive you.
Sorry.
Language. No worries. It's fine. Love it. No, what we'll say about that is that, especially with Lloris and with contracts ripping up in general, obviously it's going to be that last thing you want to do, because ideally you want the money. Financially, it's difficult to rip contracts up, but now we're getting to the final week. I think we will see contracts ripped up. I think the likes of, it's sad, especially for Lloris, but Lloris, Dyer, Spence, players that are being reported, the players that we're seeing not in the match squad.
If Eric Dyer does not play tomorrow, he'll be gone. If he's not in the squad tomorrow, I think he's gone.
Well,
he will not be back in our squad.
That'll be his 4th game and not being in the matchday squad potentially tomorrow. And when a player's not, not being funny, but we're talking about top managers in Mourinho and Conte who played him and highly praised him. So it's a big statement for Ange Postecoglou, a new manager to the Premier League. Biggest challenge ever in his managerial career to come in and go, you know what, they're wrong about Eric Dyer. I don't believe in him. But Ricky, we've got the transfer window, like I said, shutting Friday. What do you want to see in terms of incomings, outgoings, and just communication? What do you want to see happen?
I'd really like to see a right winger, a centre forward, maybe even the player who can play right wing and centre forward, but to a decent standard. A centre back as well. I'm hearing today that there's a very low chance that I'm on a Spurs community, it's called, and they have a couple of guys who claim to be in the know, and quite a lot of their information is pretty good. They reckon that the guy from Fulham, Tosin, isn't coming, but they apparently we inquired about Paulinho as well.
Oh, really?
Fulham said 70 million. So, yeah, I don't think so.
we're not going to get him. I don't think we pay half of that.
Absolutely. In regards to outgoings, I'd like to see Dyer go. I'd like to see Hugo get a new club.
He's still got it. I think Hugo's still got it. I think he'd be a good addition for some club.
And I mean, also behind the scenes, if he's the backup, but then again, what's going to happen with Forster? You can't really have three. You know, you usually have two half decent goalkeepers, and then a couple of youth players, don't you? But to have three will be a little bit difficult. I have to say I disagree with you, Rachel, about Sanchez. I think that he actually given a chance in the Postecoglou system because he's fast and because he doesn't have to face the ball so often. You know, he'd be a decent backup.
He looked good against
Yeah, backup.
Yeah.
It just scares me when he comes on.
Same here. Yeah.
I think
sometimes he looks like Bambi on ice sometimes, doesn't he? But you know,
he has mistaken him. Sanchez is one of those players that has a mistake in him. I don't know if it's confidence that he loses concentration. We've got a few of them actually at Tottenham. I think he's definitely one of them. Ricky, how many players will we see go out of the club this summer?
Go out. So there's Dyer, Sessegnon. I think this is probably not a very popular opinion, but I would keep Davis over Rachael. And because I think he's solid. A lot of people have a pop at him, but I think he's been nothing but a model professional since he's been here. And he doesn't let us down very often. So, he's not flashy. He's not. Sorry?
I forgot about Reguilon.
Yeah. And Don Bailey. Seriously, I don't drive, but I will push that guy in a wheelbarrow anywhere. Just get rid. He is.
I'll pay for him to get on the next flight.
Yeah, exactly. There's not many players who really annoy me, you know. Opposition players excluded. There's quite a few of them who annoy me. But Ndon Bailey, just his whole attitude. The guy has the world at his feet. He has the skills, but he's just got no application. And he's picking up this. You could say that it could well be similar to what happened with Delhi. There could be something wrong with his mental health. I don't know. But even the way that he gets out of a car, I know people have, it just doesn't look like he wants to be there, does he? And I don't want to continue paying him £200,000 a week.
Yeah.
And who else is there? I'd actually like to keep Spence.
No,
because I think there's.
I think there's something in the back. I think that behind the scenes, he's. Oh, stop!
I agree with you, Alfie.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, there's definitely lots of players that are linked with a move before the end of the window, and you've listed a fair few of them for sure.
Yeah.
So Ricky, if I said to you, obviously you've been linked to Brennan Johnson in the last few days, do you think that's a clever move from Tottenham, being linked to, we had a potential bid for Brentford being rumoured today around 43 million. So it looks like, Nottingham Forest wouldn't even consider to sell under 50 million, considering how quick they rejected that bid. Do you think it'd be a good investment for Spurs, or would you think it's quite wasteful money be spent in better areas?
I have only seen him play a couple of times. So I don't have a real opinion on how good the guy is. But 50 million to me is a lot of money. I don't see why we can't go if we need a backup for Kulusevski. Why can't we go to some of the other leagues? Go to the French league, go to the Belgian league, go to the Dutch league. It's going to be cheaper than 50 million because
don't buy that gift.
Yes, yeah, and apparently we're linked with that guy at PSV, Bakayoko.
Oh yes,
but it's there's always a premium on homegrown and Premiership players, isn't there? And do we have a problem? I'm not sure. Do we have a problem with homegrown this year?
I think it's on the edge. I think that's one of the reasons Maddison were brought in. So Brennan Johnson, the positives of Brennan Johnson would be homegrown. Yeah. He could potentially play. He could compete with Richie for the number 9 spot. He could cover. He can play on the right or left. But although I was originally against it, I've sat there and thought, if we can potentially send a few players Forest's way, the likes of Spence, Dyer, and Ndombele, maybe whoever they want. They want potentially goalkeeper, could be Lloris, and bring that price down to 20, 25 million, maybe even less, 10 million. Then all of a sudden it could be a good deal. So what are your thoughts on that, Ricky?
I think the big problem with that is wages. Because, the people talk a lot about swap deals, but they very rarely happen. Because if you're playing for someone like Tottenham, you're going to be paid better than if you're playing for Forest. No disrespect to Forest.
Yeah,
I have to say I love the city. I went to university there, but it's difficult. Maybe someone like Tanganga, because I don't think he's being paid an awful lot.
No.
That could be a possibility, but it's if they want him as well. It's so complicated with swap deals. But I would be happy if that could come off.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Just me and you for the time being. Lots of people having internet issues tonight. I don't know what's happening here. So moving on. It's going to our prediction for our next game, which is people we don't know, away to Fulham in the Carabao Cup, which is on Tuesday, 7:45 kickoff. I don't believe it's on TV. So what is your prediction for that, Ricky? And what team do you think we will see?
Well, what I'd like to see is a bit of stability. So I'd say pretty much the same team as we played at the weekend. We don't have to play Europe now, which obviously is bad for the backup players. But I am not one of those. I'm a little bit of an old-fashioned type of fan. I've been following us since 1980, and I've seen quite a few cups, and I like winning cups. I like being in the Champions League as well, but fourth place is not the aim for me. I want to see silverware. So I'd really go for it. I'd play a full-strength team. I think if we do play a full-strength team, I have a feeling that Fulham will probably be concentrating more on the league and staying in it. I mean, they've been pretty steady, but they had a bit of a blip at the end of last season, didn't they? They fell down the league. So
and obviously they were without Mitrovic, and they could be without Adebayo. So Fulham will need to treat the league seriously, I think.
Yes, yeah. So I think they might go a little bit weaker. So I'm hoping the 2-1 victory. And I wish I was there because that's my favourite away day in London. We always take over the place. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a ticket, but it's just impossible when you're not a season ticket holder. I did think with a bigger attendance as a possibility, but I've been looking. So anyone who has
did you look at the Fulham, because they have a neutral stand? So you can actually get tickets in there, and it's always taken up with the away squad. It might be a little bit late now, but for the league game, if you go in, it's definitely worth looking at, because Fulham used to have a bit of a problem filling their stadium, so they had a stand where neutrals could sit, which is usually the mostly the away fans, especially when Tottenham went. But I was gone as it. Oh, sorry. My apologies. That was a few years ago.
Okay, it's been out gone. There you go. Just a chance to get a late ticket, but no. Thank you for that, Ricky. Before we move on, Rachel, because you vanished when I wanted to ask you this. What do you think of Brennan Johnson?
I don't know too much about him, to be honest. So I can't give my... I've not really followed him, so I don't really... To me, it's another basement bargain for Daniel Levy. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Rachel, focusing on our next game, which is actually tomorrow. Yes, Ange Ball tomorrow, but the sad thing is it isn't on TV. But the highlights still be worth it, won't it? They're the Ange Ball. So, Rachel, go on.
I said that hopefully we could we'll win it.
Well, fingers crossed. It's a good start, isn't it? We the amount of times we've been knocked out of cup competitions recently, not going strong. So that kind of leads me on, Rachel. What's your prediction? And do you think we have to go strong and treat these cups seriously?
We definitely do have to treat them like we need silverware, as Rick said. It is Rick, isn't it? We can go full the time. That's going to get us in the Champions League. But ain't gonna give us the silverware, is it? We want to see the glory. We want them days. We couldn't can carry on going forth. It brings in lots of money, but that doesn't bring us trophies.
Exactly.
There you go. You're not the only one who thinks that. Lots of people will agree with you. Thank you for everyone who's waiting for the questions to get forward. You put forward for the podcast on Twitter this morning. We'll get through them. But a quick reminder before we do so: if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It'd be massively appreciated. Yeah, 2023 has gone so quick. The summer's nearly over, so your support is massively appreciated. Boy, it's gone quick. It's been a good year for us at the channel. If you'd like to stream, leave a like, get involved in the comments, put your questions forward. It still isn't too late. We'll get through your questions. If you are listening on any podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and a 5-star review. That'd be massively appreciated. Lots of people do watch on Spotify. Last week we had the show was the most listened to that we ever had on Spotify, and the most watched actually on YouTube. So that was fantastic to see. So thank you very much for the support. That's massively.
Well done, Harry.
Thank you very much. The show is going very well. Cheers, guys. Massively appreciated. So thank you for all your support. So before we do move on, actually, for the questions that people put forward, like I said, for the podcast, I've got an interesting question here. Start with you, Ricky. If the transfer window shut right now, today, as we speak, and we bought no more players in and sold no more players, what would you rate it out of 10?
I think I'd probably give it a 5 because Van der Ven and Vicario, I'm happy with that. Yeah, maybe a 4.
That's it, 4.
I'm just joking. We still, it's still, as far as everyone can see, it's still a glaring problem at centre back, because if one of those two gets injured, we either have to push Davis in there, or it's Dyer or Sanchez. None of which I believe can be. Well, I suppose they could be short-term replacements, but if it's a long injury, if Van der Ven or Romero, touch wood, it doesn't happen, get injured for the season, I think we'll struggle. It's the whole selling of Kane thing 2 days before the start of the new season. It's just typical. He whose name should not be mentioned. And then the money was going to be reinvested, and now we're 4 days away from the end of the transfer window, and there's lots of rumours, and you just know that at the end it's going to be, we tried. Yeah. How many times have I heard that before?
I said at the start of the summer, I went, Harry Kane will go, and it will be just before we'd start our season. And people were telling me, no, it's not going to happen. Daniel Levy's not going to let it happen. Yeah. And I went, we are spending his money before he goes. We are doing what we've done with Gareth Bale. And I was proved right again.
Not the confidence.
I love him proven right.
Who doesn't? Rachel, see, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I saw with the little gesture, you gave that a 4 out of 10. Would you like to explain your decision?
As Maddison, we desperately needed him. New Van der Vaart. I call him Van der Vaart. No, it's not Van der Vaart. Van der Veen.
VDV, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say VDV.
Them two, and the goalkeeper gives it 4. If we do not get a striker, we are going to struggle. And I said that we'll be down there and not up there.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. There you go. Let me know, guys, what you think in the comments below. If you could rate it out of 10, what you think about the window. But last but not least, the questions people put forward for the podcast this morning. So thank you all for your patience. Rachel, I'm going to ask you the first question from Barney. He says, question for you all. Seeing as our teams face each other at Craven Cottage, he's a Fulham fan on Tuesday. He's saying, my favourite player is Son. So who's the one Fulham player that really stands out for you, Rachel?
They're a team I don't follow.
For me, it's Paulinho.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well.
Yeah. But none of them, because I don't follow them. I don't really. I don't take much interest. Only if say we're linked with that player, then I will go through and study him. Other than that, I don't really bother with our games, to be honest. So that's not a very good question for me.
Yeah, okay. Looks like Barney agrees with Paulinho. Yeah, I completely agrees. He's the heartbeat of the Fulham team. He's what's keeping Fulham, in games. He's such a key player. I think even more important than Mitrovic was for Fulham. I think he proved that at the Emirates. What a result that was for Fulham to come back. Impressive result, by the way. I don't mind Fulham going there and doing well, put it that way. Ricky, I'm going to ask you the next question from Robbie. Speak up, Robbie, if you are listening, who says, question for both fans, how far do you want to see your teams go realistically in the Cups, both the Carabao Cup and FA Cup this year?
I want us to go for both of them. As I said earlier, and as Rachel said as well, there's no glory for me in fourth place. Some of the best days out I've had have been cup wins. Not that I was necessarily at the ground, but it's just seeing the players actually win something. To be honest, one of the best days of my life was the Audi Cup win. So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No, but it's about trophies for me, football.
My son 1 year old when we last won a trophy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're 16.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Stat for you, I've never seen a trophy in my lifetime. I was born after we won the League Cup a few months after, so you go, never seen a trophy. Well, I've seen pre-season trophies, but not what I call major trophy. Rachel, I'm going to ask you the next question. Bateman talks Tottenham. My good friend Ben says, who do you want to see starting the front three tomorrow?
No, I think we're going to change it, to be honest. I do think it's going to be a completely different team. I just don't know who.
Okay, fair enough. There you go, Ben.
I think Richardson will play up, though.
Okay. Yeah, Ben also says, I'll ask you this, Ricky. How many more games for Richarlison has at number 9 before you think he should be dropped?
Yeah. If he continues playing the way that he is, which is, he's causing a lot of trouble for defences and giving it large, I would keep him in the team as long as the goals are coming from somewhere else. But I suppose that is unrealistic in the Premiership, isn't it? So I think he'll have at least a minimum of. I don't think Postecoglou is one who's going to judge people too quickly. So I'd say probably 5 to 10 games.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I would hope that as well, because I think he does deserve a chance because he runs his socks off.
He definitely gives 110%.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm willing the guy to succeed. And let's hope he does. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Rachel, Finn says, I know you're up to this, but Finn may not know this. Top 4 or a trophy? What are you taking?
Trophy all day long.
Trophy. There you go. Thank you. Ricky, Joey says, why is Romero so underrated in the Premier League, especially when people are naming the best centre-backs in the league? He's not even in the top 6 for many people for some reason. He went on to say, personally, I think only Ruben Diaz, Stones are probably better than him and Thiago Silva. He's arguably the best defender in the World Cup. So, yeah, why do you think he is so underrated, Ricky?
Do you think it might have something to do with his attitude? That people think that he's a bit fiery and looks like a red card waiting to happen sometimes. It's a very good question. It's the press in the United Kingdom. They never fail to amaze me with some of their opinions, and probably because most of them are ex-Liverpool, Arsenal, or Man United.
Yeah, no, okay, fair enough. There's your answer to your question. Joey, Jay says, I'm going to ask you this, Rachel, saying, now is it time to push and sign a striker and centre-back? He said, my question is, if we don't buy these players, is Daniel Levy failing us as a club?
He's failed us for 22 years. That's all I've got to say on the matter.
There you go. Ricky, final question. Finn says, are you starting Richarlison versus Fulham? And if you don't, do we need a new striker, or is Brennan Johnson good enough if we get him?
What we were saying earlier about Son playing through the middle, I think I'd prefer Son to come in, play through the middle, and Johnson on the right, if he does play, because obviously Kulusevski will be there.
Okay, no worries. So that is all your questions you put forward for the podcast on Twitter this morning. So thank you all, and thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all in the chat listening live on YouTube. Thank you after who everyone listened on any podcast platform after. Your support for the podcast is massively appreciated, and most importantly, massive thanks to the guests tonight as well. Rachel, where can people find you? For people who don't know.
I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook, Rachael Jackson. If you'd like, you can add me or follow me.
And if you don't know already, Rachel's a big fan of Levy. She makes that very, very clear.
Yeah, I love Levy.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it. Ricky, thank you for coming on what is your first time on the show. Absolute pleasure to have you on. So where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter under the name Jens Højsgaard. I won't spell it. It's a bit of a long one. But I also do a YouTube show, mainly on Sunday mornings, called RV TV. And yeah, we usually go out around about 11 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
British time. Sorry?
I'll join one day.
Nice one. Yeah, of course. Anybody's welcome to come along, have a look and subscribe. And thank you very much for having me, Harry. It's been a pleasure.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all for the chat. Don't forget to follow Ricky and Rachel. Check out Ricky's YouTube channel there. It'd be massively appreciated. If you want to follow me, handle there, HarryScarf22. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Will be massively appreciated. I'm running to be in the Football Content Awards this year for the first time. So if you want to nominate me to make the final 10 when announced on the 25th of September, go to my pinned tweet and check it out. There's a couple of different ways you can vote. That'll be massively appreciated. But yeah, stay safe all. Great show. Thank you all. But as we always say,
and I'll see you next week.
Absolutely. We see you. But as we always say, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah.
Bye.